After a long week cashing, your job.
All right, this is the Sin Bin. Welcome all to the best hockey show on the planet. I am joined today with the one, the only, Mark from the Puck Bag. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you for having me, Matthew.
All right, Mark, this is his first time on the show, and I gotta say, he's sort of saving my life here because Jake, he's out with the family. He may or may not call in later, but this is our first show together. We've been on Shot from the Point a couple years ago. And hey guys, this guy knows his hockey. I am so proud to have him. And if you guys haven't subscribed to the Puck Bag, it's a really good channel. One of the few on YouTube I can actually tolerate. And otherwise, this type of show, you can put your live chat questions. You can put your comments. You can put whatever you want. You can call in. Or you can just listen to us talk about hockey. Speaking of which, we have a really packed week. This week, December 12th. December 6th, 2019, we got a lot of things to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about the Zadorov hit on Kotkaniemi. We're going to talk a little bit about the whole Zaitsev situation. God, what a mess. We're going to talk a little bit about Joe Thornton, MMA punching Mzarek right in the face, possibly murdering him. We're going to talk about many things. But first, I like to kind of, talk with my co-hosts a little bit. So Mark, what have you been up to this past week, or anything interesting, or anything that's caught your attention, not necessarily in hockey, but in the world in general?
Oh, geez. You open up the floor for
Putting
anything,
you on the
huh?
spot, yeah.
Yeah. In the world of hockey, I liked that when I read Elliot Friedman's 31 Thoughts, that they talked about implementing a coach's code of conduct. I kind of like that idea. So then we can just at least have some rules in place. Because right now with it's like open season on coaches. Like if you can't even scratch a player without being, called a bully of a coach, and you're shaming your players or something. So I like the fact that the NHL is going to just come out and say, well, at least here's the rules. Abide by these. And if you don't like the rules, then we'll change the rules. But I like how they're kind of getting the ball rolling on that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I did see your video on Mike Babcock. You know what? I'll go on a limb here. I kind of had a different position, but again, hockey is so subjective. We can disagree with something, but again, I completely see where you're coming from. Because diving a little bit back into the Mike Babcock situation, he was described as verbal abuse. That could pretty much mean everything, anything.
That was my whole point. Was, well, let's define what verbal abuse means, because verbal abuse to you might mean something totally different than me. And we don't know exactly word for word what he said and exactly the context of it. And this was like 10 years ago. So I need more information before I can crucify this guy.
Right, because I could call you a pussy. It might fly over your head.
I think you have before, too, by the way.
You could call me a pussy, and it might be the end of... it's so subjective. And anything, arguably... A lot of things in hockey is subjective. If a hit's dirty, that could be subjective. And that's a good segue, because I don't know about you, Mark. I've only deleted videos twice on YouTube. Only 2 times. Once was the Austin Matthews on the cover of NHL. I said a joke I wasn't proud of.
Okay.
And the second one, it actually happened yesterday. It was after the Zadorov hit. So I'm gonna kind of give myself a mulligan here, because the reason why I deleted the video, I said a fact that wasn't true. it wasn't even about the hit, first of all. It was as to why Zadorov wears a face shield. It's got nothing to do with the video, but everyone was focusing on that, and it was pissing me off. So I deleted it. And also, I think I was just way too emotional. So now that I've calmed down a bit, I'm going to give my thoughts, and I'm going to throw it over to Mark. And this video, I'm going to cut it out, and it's going to replace the old one. So with that being said, let me preface it. Kotkaniemi's not having a good season. He's having the famous sophomore slump. He is. The game starts. It's one of those games I could see, wow, he might actually be good this game. He's having one of those games, and he only played a couple of minutes, mind you. And then he gets clobbered by Zadorov. He absolutely gets clobbered. Now, I'm going to give you both sides here. Yes, Kotkaniemi, he's a smaller player. Yes, he's a skinnier player. Yes, he has the balance of a baby giraffe. I understand all of that, and I am conscious that all of those factors did lead to him landing neck first on the ice. I will give you that. I just wanted to add that Zadorov, there's no reason for him to sort of lift his leg the way he did. You know, that for me was something useless, and it doesn't help that he's skinny. It doesn't help that he has poor balance. Kotkaniemi, it's a thing in Montreal where we constantly make fun of him. He's always on his ass. Turns out here it actually led to a major injury, but that's all I'm going to say. There was no reason for him to sort of lift his leg. I don't know if I would call it a slew foot, because when we talk about slew foot, it's actually with the skate. But, I mean, the leg is attached to the foot, which has the skate on it. You know, I don't know what's the rule. I would have to read it. But for me, when I look at that, the leg comes up, I would sort of consider it a slew foot. And if it were someone other than Zadorov, I think I would give him the benefit of the doubt. But just the fact with his track record and the type of player he is, that's all I wanted to say. Now, I'm excited to hear your point of view. You might be different, so I'm really excited. And by the way, you're not a Habs fan, so we're going to get a completely unbiased view.
I saw the hit, and it's like I talked about this. I remember years ago, because like, where's the line? I know the NHL came out with like an actual timed number of between finishing your check and then interference, because it eventually, you know, it's not finishing your check anymore and it is interference. But when you're finishing your check, you're still hitting a guy that doesn't even have the puck. So I don't know. I saw the hit and I'm like, well, the guy just got clobbered and he didn't even have the puck, but he was just finishing his check. I don't know. Where's that fine line for you?
Yeah, you see, for me, it was less the interference, and it was more so the slew foot, because if you see how he sort of like cartwheeled on the ice, if it's just a normal hit, I don't think he would cartwheel like that. It takes like a little bit of a push from the leg. Other thing I will say, Kotkaniemi, he's not without blame here. As much as it pains me to say, when you're on the ice, you have to always be aware of your surroundings. And especially you have to be aware of who's on the ice. He's playing against Zadorov. Zadorov is one of the lead in hits. He's one of the dirtiest hitters out there. You have to be aware of this. And unfortunately, again, it pains me to say it, rushing him into the NHL, not having him go through the AHL first or having him play another year in Finland, you're kind of rushing his learning steps, and he probably never learned that. He has to keep his head up. This is the NHL. There's 6'4" Russians that weigh like 250 pounds.
And they wear visors.
Yeah, you know what? That's the worst part. No one could, even if the Canadians did have a player who could answer back, what are they going to do behind his shield? Absolutely, they can't do anything.
Well, I was going to ask you about that too. Like, what did you think about their lack of reaction there for the Canadians? Because it was just kind of like, well, keep playing, and then the whistle blew, and let's go help them up. I thought
it was disgusting. I absolutely hated it. I'm not going to lie. And you know what? I texted my dad after it happened. I said, if the Canadians don't answer back, they have a lack of character. And when I say answer back, I get you out there. You're saying he's a 6'4" Russian. He's 250 pounds. The Montreal Canadiens are a team of midgets. Who's going to answer back? The thing is, answering back, it doesn't necessarily have to be to that player. I mean, let's look at it eye for an eye. He went after our young star, our young centerman. Why don't you go after their young stars? Go after Tyson Jost. go after Kale McCarr. I'm not telling you to flip them on their necks, of course. I hate
No.
to see it. It made me nauseated. But if
But
you
you
could
got to do
send
something.
if you could send a message by giving a good, clean hit, just show that you're not going to be pushed around.
Yeah.
There are too many games this year where the Canadians got bullied. Yesterday was one. When they played Washington, that was another one, and Drouin just got clobbered by Ovechkin. And when they played the Flyers. I mean, you see Drouin, who's, it was one of those years where I'm like, wow, he might actually turn it around. And this is the 3rd overall pick. We might see results. And then he gets clobbered by Ovechkin. Another questionable hit. Guys, do something. Do something. Maybe not go after Ovechkin. Again, 6'3" Russian. I get it. But go after Vrana. He's a skinny guy. Go after Kuznetsov. He's a skinny guy. Do something to send a message. The Canadians do not have players who could send a message.
That's all I ever said, too. When Austin Matthews, I remember earlier in the year, and one of his guys got clobbered, and he skated right away. And I'm not saying drop the gloves, but like you said, do something. At least go after Verana and push him around a little bit after the whistle. Just not even a fight, or get a little stick work, a little light slash. Let them know you're there. You can't just sit back and watch your players get beat up like that.
Yeah, and the reason why I say it too, and I get shit on by Canadians fans, hockey fans sometimes, I'm telling you, but I get shit on. They say, oh, you're criticizing the team. Yes, I'm criticizing the team. If the team were without criticism, they would be first in the NHL right now. They would be making long playoff runs. The reason why I'm saying this, if you don't get what I call bullies, not necessarily goons, because I think they're slowly going extinct, but bullies, like the type like Tom Wilson, the type like Wayne Simmons in his prime. If you don't get those types of players, you are going to get eaten up in the playoffs. The Washington Capitals won by being the bullies. They were a hard team to play against. The St. Louis Blues, they won by being bullies. Your Los Angeles Kings, when they won, they weren't getting pushed around. The Canadians are a team that get pushed around, and I'm going to hold my guns to that, Anything else to add on that?
No, I agree. Tom Wilson, who's going to stand up to him, right?
Exactly.
He's got free reign in the NHL to do whatever he wants, because there isn't a person, especially in the Eastern Conference, that ever seems to step up to him. And he can run around that ice and do whatever the heck he wants, because what are you going to do about it, right?
Exactly. That's why in that playoff series, Reeves was such an important player. He was one of the few that could actually stand up to him and kind of, I guess, a little bit put him in his place. But as for the Canadians, they have no one like that. They have no one. You see someone, and the coach comes out after. He came and he said it was a dirty play. It should be suspendable. I'm assuming that the mindset on the bench was like that. So what happens? They just let it go by? I'll give a little bit of credit to Cale Fleury. He actually tried to do something. He laid a big hit on Calvert. But other than that, I mean, what happened? And, it's not just that hit. It's not just the Zadorov hit. The whole game. And I was talking to Scott about this. He said, well, you know what? The Canadians, they let in hits. For me, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. If you look at the hit that McCarr laid on Wheel later in the game, those are the type of hits that hurt. The hit that Landeskog put on Gallagher, those are the type of hits that hurt. The Avalanche are a dangerous team. Not only are they skilled, they're so big. I mean, they were on the broadcast, they were talking about that first line. Landeskog, big guy. Rantanen, giant. McKinnon, he's built like a linebacker.
Yeah, he's a tank.
He's a friggin' tank. I'm saying it because I love the Canadians. They are not going to go far in the playoffs if they don't have a Tom Wilson type player. What's your thoughts on Andrew Shaw? You must hate his guts.
I was just getting ready to ask you. So does this mean you miss Andrew Shaw, since there's no one? Not that he was the person that would want to go toe to toe with Tom Wilson, but
no.
I mean, he would have at least mixed it up a little bit.
You know what? Great minds think alike. Because I'm watching that game, and given his injury history and everything, it didn't really bother me that they traded Andrew Shaw. But I'm looking at that game, and I'm thinking, had Andrew Shaw been on the bench, I felt like he would have done something. He's one of those players that are crazy enough he would have done something.
Yeah.
Maybe not stand up.
Bulldog.
He's a little bulldog. Maybe not stand up to Zadorov. That's just a mismatch. And the guy's wearing a face shield, so you'd be punching, what is that, plastic? But, go after their player. Hey, Tyson Jost, he's knee-high to a grasshopper. Knock him on his ass. Let's go to the comments here. Joe, he says, hi there. Hi, Joe. Kotkaniemi's neck must be effed up. Terrible landing. You know what? The kid, he just got released from the hospital. I had a few notes on him. He is concussed. He didn't travel with the team to New York, and the game's actually going on right now. I actually should put it on my phone. JB says, it's yeah, boy. Joe says, I think we have a fair share of tough guy. Domi, Gallagher, Weber, Petrie, and Sherratt. Even if Fleury's a tough guy, none of them are like Wilson or Reeves. It depends of your definition of tough. The freaking thing is going wonky here.
Yeah, I don't know why my webcam does that.
Yeah. Does that happen with you too, or is it just me?
I think it's just you.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's just you.
I can't... I can't wait to switch over to XSplit. Oh, man, I hate OBS. Thankfully, we were only 5 minutes late, but the trouble, I couldn't get any volume coming out of Skype. Yeah. Anyway.
I like what he's talking about though, like Weber, and I mean there is some toughness, but there's not that.
Yeah.
There's not that Tom Wilson on this, and not many teams have him because I don't know. People think that they're not needed anymore.
Yeah, but I'll challenge you, Joe. Yet they're very tough. Gallagher's made out of nails. Or actually, he's made out of rubber. He gets hit and he just bounces back up. Why didn't they do anything? Why didn't they do anything? When Ovechkin lays out Drouin, why didn't the team do anything? Weber, he's 6'4". Why didn't he do anything? There's one thing being tough, but you need to have a couple of screws loose. You need to be like a Tom Wilson. Have a couple of screws loose. Yeah, an eye for an eye. That I truly believe that. What that pussy Gandhi, he says, an eye for an eye, the whole world goes blind. I'm not listening to him. An eye for an eye.
Did you just call Gandhi a pussy? Yeah. Making sure I heard that. No, I know, and everyone keeps talking about, and I get it to some degree. The NHL, it's more skilled. They're worried about fast and speed and puck possession, and you got to have skill and speed to play this game now. Yeah. And then you look at the Stanley Cup final last year, and it's the two toughest teams in the league, Boston and St. Louis. Yeah. Like eventually, once you get into the playoffs and you get into a 7-game series, you got to have some strength. You got to have some toughness. You got to throw the body around. Wearing the other team down is part of it. You can get away with that in the regular season. But I think as the Bruins have proved, even to like teams like, even last year, just the Tampa Bay Lightning,
right.
Probably the most skilled team we've ever seen in the salary cap era.
Exactly.
Get swept in the first round by a tougher team.
Exactly. Like, great example. Oh, God, I knew I brought you on for a reason. Tampa Bay, all of the talent in the world. Kucherov, Braden Point, Stamkos, all of the talent in the world. They don't have like a Tom Wilson type player. Players that have a couple of screws loose. They kind of got bullied by Columbus, a much less skilled team. It's a physical thing, the playoffs. We can't forget that. GB says, oh geez, there's a lot of Avs news going on. I should call in. Yeah, absolutely. Try to call in. Skype is a little bit of a bitch today. I don't know why. So we'll see if it works. But definitely, Skype user, the skin bin.
Whoa. Suddenly we went X-rated, huh?
That's another website. Yeah. Who do you think's the toughest guy in the league? Who do you think, if you're a player, you would fear fighting this guy the most?
Oh, fighting? I guess for fighting, it's still Ryan Reeves, but I don't know. I mean, you talk about toughness.
Yeah.
See, I like Tom Wilson. I'm one of the few that actually really like him because he can do it all. He was a first-round draft pick. Like he didn't get that because he couldn't skate and he couldn't move the puck. He's really found his niche in the NHL, and no one does what he does anymore. So it makes him stand out. Who can skate like him, move the puck, and be tough and throw the body and drop the gloves? I mean, he does it all.
Yeah, good point. And you know what? It's often today in the NHL, we make it, oh, well, you have to be big. And there's that team, and then there's the team saying, oh, no, it's being skilled. and you don't have to be big just as long as you're skilled. Why not both? Why not have the deadly combo? In my opinion, Tom Wilson has both. We forget, like you said, he's a first-round pick. He plays on a line with Ovechkin and Zadorov. I Don cherried that on purpose. He plays on a line with Ovechkin and what's his name now?
Kuznetsov, one of those Russians, right?
One of those Russians. Yeah, you have to have skill. You have to have wheels to keep up with them.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. Yeah. Why don't we move on to our next story?
Yeah, if I can interject real quick.
Go ahead.
You mentioned Don Cherry there and butchering their names. After he got fired, I tried to do a video of like my top 5 favorite Don Cherry moments, and I couldn't do it because I couldn't narrow it down to 5. It was going to be like the top 40 moments, and I love it when he butchers. Oh, they're Russians, they're nothing, and then he spelled it out: Nothin, nothing.
What's your thoughts on him getting fired? Because I follow you on Twitter, but for the people out there.
Yeah, it was blown out of proportion. The guy said "you people." Come on,
yeah.
He didn't call out an ethnic group. He never even used the word immigrant or a racial slur. He just said "you people." And if you people get upset by that, then get over it. Good grief, you people. And he's got a 6-minute segment once a week on Saturdays. They act like this guy was like freaking Goebbels from the German propaganda minister controlling the media. Like, no, he had a quick little segment. Like, quit making him out to be something he's not.
You know what? I hate to say it. It's so crooked over there at Sportsnet. They were finding a reason to fire him. He didn't share the same political views as them. They were looking for any little reason to fire him, and it turns out it was a poppy. This is the guy who went on air and he says, "Europe, it's a nice place to visit, but stop sending us hockey players."
They could have found 10 million other things to fire him over that were way worse.
And telling people to wear a poppy, that's what did him.
Yeah, poppies do it. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, real bummer. And I made a video about it. I said Don Cherry was my idol. He really was. But, yeah, no, it sucks. We've been at it ad nauseum.
I know. I wish he was around 30 years ago. Or, I mean, like, we could go back in time and bring him here, and he could just have a YouTube channel where he could just say whatever he wants, like, unfiltered. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's see. Someone's trying to call in. We'll see if it works. Are you listening to this podcast?
What do you mean?
Do you listen to this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think it's I don't know. It's turned into kind of story time with Don Cherry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I apologize again, GB. I got to get that under control. The connection was just not good enough. No fault of your own. But yeah, you know what? There was actually some rumors, though. The Taylor Hall situation. The Avalanche. They're a dangerous team. And you know what's their most dangerous asset? It's not McKinnon. It's not Rantanen. It's not even Landeskog. It's all of their freaking cap space. What? They still have like... Oh, Jake says that you're echoing. Hold up. They still have what? Like 10 million in cap space?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, their highest played player is Rantanen. And, I mean, he's only at like 9.5. McKinnon's got probably the best contract in all the NHL. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, no. So there's been a lot of rumors. Apparently, maybe not. I don't really know. They've been communicating with the Colorado Avalanche, and this is pertaining to Taylor Hall. And the name that's been circulating in exchange for Hall is Bowen Byram, last year's number 4 overall pick, the first pick by the Colorado Avalanche. And he's touted to be one hell of a defenseman. And I gotta ask you, would you give up, because I have strong opinions about it, but I really want to hear you first. Would you give up Taylor Hall for Bowen Byram?
Oh, man. I don't know. If there was some type of contingency on there to where if they trade for Hall, that he's gonna re-sign with the team long term, maybe.
Yeah.
But if it's just a rental, then no way. Not a chance.
Way too much. way too much for a rental. I mean, if they could negotiate an extension, I guess maybe. Personally, I still wouldn't do it because I think Bowen is going to be a way better player than Hall is, or at least than Hall is currently. But if he's a rental, don't go near that. I mean, he's been in talks for the Canadians, and I gotta say, if he's a don't go near him. Don't go near him. I wouldn't give up a penny for a rental.
No.
Especially for what they're going to command for Hall.
I know. And we see it every trade deadline. We see teams just go crazy, giving up stuff. And when does it really work out? Like, what big move did the Blues make last year? Or even the Bruins, for that? I mean, they got, like, Charlie Coyle, the Bruins did. They got, like, they fill up the third line a little bit, or fourth line. They don't go in and getting a big star. Like, that rarely pays off.
Yeah, no, for sure. Jake said the rumor, more specifically, it's Bowen Byram in a second. That's even worse. But it's way too much. It's way too much.
Yeah.
Jake, is Mark still echoing? Let me know. Either way, you know what? I'm actually going to skip. We've already a half hour. I'm going to skip the Zaitsev thing. In case you guys don't know, I put a video out there. It's basically. Did you see it?
I did, yeah, where he goes and gets his kids back.
Yeah, basically Zaitsev's dad. He goes and snatches his kids from his ex-girlfriend's arms. And we don't really know much about the situation. The Ottawa Senators, they refused to comment. His agent basically defended him. So we're still going to wait and see what happens. But in the meantime, why don't we move on to our main topic? And this shit made me laugh. You know,
was that in Russia, real quick? Was that in Russia that they went back to Russia, or was that in the U.S.?
I believe it was.
I thought it was too.
No, I believe it was. Yeah.
Because there's some wacky law. I mean, you can get away with a lot more in Russia, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been all over the news if that happened in, like, Georgia or something.
Yeah. Did you hear? Jake says Hall for Nate. Did you hear? Do you watch Spitting Chicklets?
Occasionally,
They have some wacky stories of when he was in Russia, and like people showing up to a McDonald's drive-thru on a horse. It's crazy. Yeah. Either way, so on a night where Kotkaniemi gets cartwheeled and falls on his neck, makes me want to puke. Something actually funny happened. So it's in a game between the Carolina Hurricanes and the San Jose Sharks. So there's a little scrum in front of the neck. Mzarek, basically, he goes for a slash on Thornton. I don't know if he ended up landing anything, but good old Joe, he does not take any exception to that. He comes to Mzarek and lands a huge right, who Mzarek then goes tumbling to the ice. This morning in practice, the Carolina Hurricanes actually drew an outline of where Mzarek fell down, and they had him lying down on the ice. Obviously, the Carolina Hurricanes are one of the teams in the league that have like a really good sense of humor. But what do you think of the situation as a whole? I actually, a lot of people calling Joe a jerk. I don't actually care. I think it was pretty cool that he did it.
Oh, well, it was funny on my ride into work this morning. I'm listening to the radio, and they played the broadcast after that from like the Hurricanes broadcast and then the Sharks broadcast, and it was just funny to hear how the different Homer broadcasts were, because the Carolina Hurricanes were like, oh, you slashed the goalie, how can you touch him? And then of course the Sharks broadcast is like, hey, you come out of the crease, you get what you deserve, kind of thing. But I don't know. I mean, I get why goalies get mad when you come in, but yeah, I shouldn't be saying this because I hate the Sharks. I should be like all over Joe Thornton here, but it wasn't much to it. It was a little poke. Come on. That was a good hockey game, too. When I'm going to that to overtime. Yeah.
I watched it on the Carolina broadcast, too, and they were like, oh, Mzarek, he didn't dive at all on that. He went down on his own. I got to disagree. I think he did a little bit of a dive.
A little acting there.
He basically, like, back-flopped on the ice. It was hilarious. But yeah, no, it's things like that make me like hockey. I don't watch NFL as much as other people, but I doubt stuff like that happens in the NFL, where a guy just goes up to another player, and it might. I don't know. But what did you think of the outline they did? It's pretty funny.
No, it is funny, and you're right. The Hurricanes do have a sense of humor when it comes to stuff like that.
What do you think? Me and Jake once got a fight on air. What do you think of those celebrations at the end? They pissed the living shit out of me.
I I never really cared for him.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. To me that's like it's rubbing it in a little bit much, you know. And can you imagine? Can, can you imagine like Wayne Gretzky doing that back in Edmonton in the '80s? You know what I mean? That was my whole argument. It was like, why is it makes the Carolina Hurricanes look like their hockey market look like more of a joke, because you would never see that in Boston or Montreal or anything like that. But if Carolina does it, then all of a sudden it's like this wacky fun thing. But I'm like, no, either it's tacky or it's not. And sure enough, but a lot of people loved it. And Don Cherry helped him sell a bunch of T-shirts.
Yeah. You know, it's my dream. I want Shea Weber to get traded to the Carolina Hurricanes because he's one of the most boring players out there. He's really shy and he's really like an introvert. The same for Carey Price. If they somehow got shipped to the Carolina Hurricanes and were forced to do that dumb celebration. I know.
Well, I said this, I remember this all coming back to me now because I said that. Like, what can you like if Sidney Crosby played for him? I mean, we wouldn't be like, come on, Sid, what the heck are you doing out there?
Oh my God.
You know?
You see the celebration where they were pretending to be to fish, and there's these players, they threw the rope, and there's these players on the ice that were being dragged, and they were the fishes. Can you imagine if Shea Weber was being dragged across the ice on a rope?
He'd probably just quit. He'd just skate to the locker room. He wouldn't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. Oh boy. That's something. Yeah, JB. And again, JB, I'm sorry for that awkward call. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna switch over to XSplit. Yeah, it's just way easier than OBS. He says, here's the original Forbes article with McKinnon saying he will take less money for the next contract extension, and that's actually really good. It was actually one of my stories. I have the direct quote by McKinnon. He says, referring to his contract, I was just excited to get paid that much money at such a young age, he tells Forbes. Obviously, it's a pretty team-friendly deal now, but I was worth that at the time. I have no regrets. On my next deal, I'll take less again, and I want to win with this group. Holy crap. McKinnon, I don't know if he's my favorite player. He's definitely one of my top 3, but that just solidifies it. He says all of the right things. If you guys recall, when he signed that contract, like he says, McKinnon, not a lot of people were saying it was a bargain. In fact, there was quite a bit of people saying that's an overpayment. You know, he hasn't shown that he's capable of playing to the first overall pick status. It's a little bit of an overpayment. Now we look at it. What is he making? Like $6 million? It's not. It's completely a team friendly deal. He's always in the running for the Hart. I think so far this year he's my pick for the Hart. And when I hear those types of things, this is how teams win. And it just makes me think of those Toronto Maple Leafs with their whining stars over there in Toronto making $10 million each. They're never gonna win. Do you see the Toronto Maple Leafs winning with that much cap space for 4 players?
Not at all. I think the last time I talked about them, I added up their contracts. I think the top 6 players make up, I don't know, it's like 65-70% of their cap. It's insane. Like, how do you build a team off of 4 players?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah,
and you look at teams like the Bruins, and it's like, oh my gosh, you got Pasternak, who's like one of the top 3 players in the world right now, and he's making like 6.25. Brad Marchand's making like a little over 6. That's how you do it. I'm not taking anything away from Tavares or Matthews. Make as much money as you want, but let's for Dubas. Well, you got to be realistic though. If you're Dubas, like you can't fit it all in. It's a math game here.
Yeah. Do you think, speaking about Kyle Dumais, do you think that he lacks negotiating skills? Because
totally.
I get the feeling he sort of brings them in the office. He gives a clean sheet and says, "Write a number, and you got it." You kind of have to try to negotiate to bring that down. There's a lot of perks of playing in Toronto. You get to be in Apple phone commercials. You get to be just the marketing in general. Use that to your advantage if you're GM. So you won't get that type of marketing if you're in Arizona, where they don't even know what hockey is. let alone with offside. I read a story a few years back. In a Dallas game, they would write the rules for offside on the boards on the on the jumbotron. Like, do you think in those days, in those countries, or in those cities, do you think that you can get the same marketing as in Toronto, where you're going to live as a king? Yeah, no, I always thought he has to negotiate a little bit better.
Yeah.
Joe says he's got it, referring to Thornton. He's got to shave that beard because, ew, it's literally close to touching the floor. Trim that thing for God's sakes. Thornton's has had that for God knows how long. He kind of looks like he smells like mothballs, if you ask me.
I know.
The whole celebration.
He looks old. Like, some guys, they're old, but he looks old.
He looks old, yeah, for sure. What is he, 41, 42?
I think he's 40, 41.
Like, Yarmir, he was way older, and he didn't look as old.
No, he was youthful.
Yeah, no, he
was out banging like 18-year-old models from the Czech Republic. He didn't care.
Yeah. Man. And it's not just the beard. It's just like the wrinkles under his eyes. I don't know. The whole celebration thing is just for business, to get butts in seats. It's a good business move. But if you have to do that to obtain fans, then that says a lot about your team. Don Cherry said that. He said,
is the NHL.
If you want to get butts in the seats, win hockey games.
It's incredible what that does.
Call me old-fashioned, but why do you have to like play human fishing on the ice and fucking throwing Halloween candy when it's stupid. It's stupid. I think that was invented by Justin Williams, or it was his idea. I don't even know if he's playing. I don't think he's signed yet. I don't know. Let's see. JB says, ha ha ha. I wonder if Dubas is in trouble if Leafs keep losing. I watched your video on that. As again, really good video. You said it's not necessarily Babcock's fault of how the Leafs are playing. It's Dubas because he's the one that gathered the players. You want to elaborate on that?
Well, let's see here.
Choose your words carefully.
So Babcock could only use the players in front of him, and I don't think it's a secret that the two of them never really saw eye to eye on the player selection. I read some articles that he didn't even really want Mitch Marner. He wanted, I think it was Noah Hannafin in that draft pick a couple years ago. So they never really saw eye to eye on players and player selection. And even this summer, he goes out and signs Jason Spezza, and Babcock scratches in the first game, and Leafs Nation has an aneurysm. And so those two were never even on the same page. I think that had a lot to do with it. But even so, I mean, Mike Babcock knows freaking hockey, for crying out loud. And he should be able to take, players and still turn them into like that and turn it into a winning team. Mm-hmm. But it just wasn't there. Like they don't look at that defense. It's just so full of holes. If Jake Muzzin is your top defenseman, you got some major problems. Yeah. Like Babcock does deserve some blame, but in all those contracts now, that's all Dubas's mess. Like, he signed Tavares, he signed Nylander, he signed Marner, he signed Austin Matthews. Like, that's on him now. Yeah,
I was one of the few. And again, like, when bad moves happen in hockey, we could always say like, oh, I knew it ahead of time. But this is actually an instance I did say it ahead of time. If you're not getting the value you want out of Nylander, because I do think that's one that hurts a lot, the Nylander contract. I really don't think he's worth that much money. If you can't get the value you want out of him, let him walk. Let him walk and take the compensation, especially where he's going to sign somewhere else in the value. You can get a hell of a compensation. You're going to get a player that's better than Nylander, arguably.
Exactly. And you look at what the Islanders did when Tavares, like, they walked. The Islanders got absolutely nothing for him, and they turn around and they're one of the top teams in the league now. I mean, and that's old school Julian Murillo, who's got some negotiating power. Yeah. Like, no, I'm not going to pay $11 million for 8 years. We can't fit it in. We're trying to do something else. So he walks, and you know what? The world goes on. They fill the holes.
Yep, they fill the holes. All right. Next story pertains to, and your Montreal Canadiens fans might recognize him, Alexander Radulov. I just wanted to mention this quickly. It's not really a story, but he did get benched last game between it was between the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars. He was a healthy scratch, and he's one of their top players. And it just made me want to kind of revisit the whole Radulov deal because I'm sure you know this already, Mark, but what happens? Canadians take him out of the KHL. They give him a home. They bring him into Montreal. It was only a 1-year deal. He was easily their best player that year. He decides to not sign in Montreal, and I'm pretty 100% sure, I think it's sort of public, it was a money thing. Dallas offered, I think what Mark Bergevin said is that they offered the same amount, but given that Dallas, they don't have the same taxes, their dollar is worth more, he decided to go to Dallas. That's one move that always pissed me off, because when I look at the Canadiens roster currently, they need a player like Radulov. Now that I see him benched, it sort of makes me wonder. And it makes me wonder, you remember those days he was in Nashville? And he was getting benched for non-hockey reasons? It makes me wonder, is it because of that? Because the guy still has 15 points. It's not great. It's not awful either. I'm sort of wondering if there's something behind the scenes. Do you think he's still that type of player? Do you think he's grown up or he's moved on from that? And just, I'm curious, what do you think of his play as a whole, just as a player? Because he's one of my favorites, I'm not going to lie. His intensity, his passion for the game, that clip where he's eating a banana on the bench.
Yeah, his facial expressions are priceless
sometimes. Oh, yeah. This is a hockey player. Look at that face. That's a hockey player. Go ahead.
It's like 32 or 33 now, maybe old, like around there, 33, I think.
Yeah.
He's got to outgrow the lifestyle that he back in Nashville. And wasn't like he and his brother or cousin or something were out partying before a game or after a game and came in hungover, and then what's his face, Barry Trotz scratched him the next game. Like, nope, you're not playing. Oh yeah, he's a fun player, intense, and he did that when he came back to Montreal. That was like a rejuvenation for him. Yeah. But I can't blame him for going to Dallas either. That's like you said. With the dollar difference and the tax difference, what's your guys' income tax there in Quebec? Like 95% or something like that?
Depends on how much you're making.
Well, someone like that. I mean, he's gonna lose half his money just by living there. So yeah. I mean, I can't blame him.
Yeah.
Do people up in Montreal really complain? Because I've seen some articles here and there about the people suggesting the NHL salary cap be adjusted based on like tax rates on where you live. So like Montreal's salary cap could be 90 million, and Arizona's or Florida might be like 70 because of the difference. Is that do people really talk like that up there?
We do. And okay. You know what? I don't think I really disagree.
Oh, jeez.
It just look who's. Oh wait, you're in California. The taxes there aren't great either, right?
No, I'm in Illinois. Well, yeah.
You're in Illinois. Well, your team. Sorry.
Well, no, it's just as bad. They're high. They're high.
I don't know, man. I'll tell you why. I'm all for parity. And
just straight average.
Yeah, Montreal, it's known. They can't get free agents. Way back in the day when Daniel Briere was actually good, Montreal made a push for him. He didn't even go, and he's a Frenchman. You would think playing for the Canadiens. No, he decided to go from Buffalo to the Flyers. When Marian Hossa, he was coming out of Atlanta, it was well known the Canadiens were after him. He decided to go to, I think it was not the Penguins, the Red Wings? Did he go to Penguins first? Either one of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you see teams like Tampa. Everyone wants to go there. Florida, everyone wants to go there. They just signed Bobrovsky. By the way, it's a horrible contract. But there's some factors you can't control, the weather, the everything. I don't know. For the dollar, I don't know. Well, you think that it shouldn't be adjusted?
No, I then go complain to whoever runs Quebec and tell them to lower their tax rates, and people want to come play there. Simple as that. And people like Tampa, you brought them up. What's the last big name free agent they ever signed? Like they draft and develop their players. So if you can't get free agents, then draft them and develop them yourself.
Well, it's not so much they get a free agent, but like when Kucherov's contract runs out, he won't test the market. He wants to stay in Tampa. Braden Point, he didn't test the market. he wanted to stay in Tampa. The Canadians made an offer sheet to Aho. The first player they tried with was Point, and he wanted to stay in Tampa. But it's not like that big of a deal for me. But I guess I'll leave it there. It's not that big of a deal for me.
But anything to eventually benefit your team, you're going to go for.
Oh,
right?
anything. Anything. I am such a huge homer. You will never believe it.
That's fine. Hey, it's what it's about.
Yeah. Joe says, Briere did come here, though, eventually. That's true. He came here when he was shit. When he was washed out. Okay, he was a big part of our 20... Yeah, that's true. But he wasn't that same player coming out of Buffalo. We got the Diet Coke Daniel Briere. That doesn't count. I wanted the full sugar Daniel Briere. We didn't get that. Yeah, but you know what? Speaking of Bobrovsky, I did want to touch on that. I made a video. I don't know if you saw it. Goalies should not be making $10 million.
Oh, I agree with you. Totally.
Out of all of the moves that Bergevin has made, and Dale Talon there in Florida, I think the one that really kicks him in the ass, it's not Weber Subban, it's not Drouin Sergachev, it's signing Price to that ridiculous contract. It's crazy. I say it all the time. Goalies are so inconsistent. They could have 1 year they're great. Look at Vasilevsky. Last year he won the Vezina. This year he looks like he can't stop a volleyball. Why give them $10 million? It's beyond me. And if you look at the difference between a $5 million goalie and a $10 million goalie, there's not that big a difference.
No, there's really not.
Who do you think is currently the best goalie in the NHL? And I'm excited to see the salary he makes. I don't know. There's no tricks up my sleeve. I don't know the answer. So who's the best goalie in your opinion?
Well, I mean, it probably at this point you got to think about like Bennington just won the cup for crying out loud, and then I don't know, Rask, Holtby, those teams are doing pretty good. But I literally just yesterday I did a video because it popped in my head bad contracts, and I threw Carey Price on there. Like I'm not saying he sucks. I'm just saying $10.5 million for a goalie is ridiculous. You're like, it's such a fluid position. You're great 1 year, you're bad the next. Yeah. Jose Theodore won the Hart Trophy, and then he was garbage like 2 years later. No one wanted him.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a $4 million goalie and then go get $2-3 million players than $10.5 million for someone with a 888 save percentage.
Yeah. I actually saw that video, and the three names, the three contracts that I just irk at. It's the Price contract. The second one is the Jamie Benn contract. And I think there's still a lot of term on that one. And the third one, I think it's the PK contract, as much as I hate saying it.
He's got 5 points this year. Like, come on, man.
That's crazy. Who would have thought he would have declined that fast? And I think we've gotten into it in the past because is it safe to say you're not the biggest fan of PK? You think he's a shithead?
He's an incredible athlete, but I don't think he's got the brain for what people want him to do. He doesn't have the hockey sense. You know what I mean? How many bad turnovers, how many out of position stuff have we seen from him? It's every freaking night. But he's quick and he's got some good moves and stuff. Yeah. But he's a hothead.
I see that. One thing I will say, he kind of has this reputation he's not good defensively. Watching like him for several years, it's not necessarily that he's bad defensively. He's pretty solid. It's just that every so often he has this humongous brain fart, a brain shart. It's so freaking bad, and it always leads to a goal. The thing with Subban, I don't know if you would agree with me on this. I see him on YouTube. He has a channel. He's making videos. I see the type of things he's doing out in the public, the media, going on television and commercials and everything. I don't have a problem with that. When you really think about it, he's doing good for the NHL. He's marketing it. The thing is, if your play can't back it up, I don't know if I would personally do it. It kind of makes me think, is he not focusing on hockey enough? Is he more for like the marketing side of the hockey? What do you think?
Well, I don't know. He's in a good market to market himself because he's right near New York now. But uh, people get mixed up with PK like the person and then PK the player. Like as a person, I love all the marketing stuff and he's a great interview and he's funny. His Don Cherry impression that he did was hilarious. And back in the day,
It
like
was average.
he's
I
a
can do better. But go ahead.
well, I mean, yeah, he did his best. It was he's a fun guy,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about PK the hockey player getting $9 million. Like that's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah. Do you know the term left? What is it? 4 years or 5 years?
Jeez.
Something like that. It's a
yeah.
big contract. I mean, there's a reason Nashville traded him for like 2 second-round picks and a bag of peanuts and a chicken McNugget. Like that contract, it's an asset on its own.
Yeah.
So
and they had to clear up some room to get Matt Duchene anyway.
yeah, and you know what? I also saw your video on that trade, the revisited trade, and I just wanted to give my brief opinions on that. I was one of those people that I didn't like the trade. I thought that Weber would decline faster than Subban did. And now that I'm looking at it and seeing the type of season Shea Weber is playing, it's kind of flip-flopped. It's the opposite. And I've said this over and over again. I'll say a statement. It's my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'll eat my words. I think at this point, it's safe to say I was wrong. I mean, Shea Weber is older. You know, he's not that fleet of foot, Subban, but Shea Weber isn't either.
No.
He's arguably worse. Just the quality of play he's been bringing, especially this season, it's been tight. It's been very tight defense. Did you see he blocked a shot today, tonight, right in the face. He got up as if it was nothing and went to the bench. He didn't even wince. The guy's like putting band-aid or like bandages and everything. He's not even wincing. This guy, he's like made of meat and potatoes.
He's a legend.
He's a legend. Do you think he should go to the Hall of Fame?
Shea Weber, that'd be one of those Brad Park type guys who are like awesome but never won a Norris, and Brad Park never won a cup either. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. He's definitely. I mean, he's been nominated as one of the top defensemen. And the age thing, to me, and I remember saying this when he got traded. Like Nick Lidstrom won a Norris Trophy when he was like 40. And I'm not saying Shea Weber's Nick Lidstrom, but I'm saying Nick Lidstrom wasn't the same style as a PK Subban, rushing the puck up and down the ice, or an Erik Karlsson. He was more of a Shea Weber. He was on the point, getting shots through, just being smart defensively. And so I don't worry about the age. No one ever claimed that Shea Weber's faster or more offensively skilled, but you know, once PK's skills start to decline, what's this guy got to offer besides that offensive side? I mean, Weber can still do some. Well, that's true. Yeah, he can sell some jerseys and stuff too. Yeah. But no, I've always liked Shea Weber. He's just solid. He's just solid back there.
Yeah, for sure. And that booming slap shot. He's on pace for almost 60 points this year, which is crazy. As a person, I've never played defense because I'm not good enough of a skater. But I've always had a fascination for defensemen. It's just the position they play. Who do you think top 3 this year? Top 3 candidates for the Norris. I think we can both. I know it's on the spot. We can pretty much both take off Karlsson because it's kind of a given at this point. But those second and third positions.
Yeah, I was thinking John Karlsson.
Yeah, that one's too easy. I'll give you mine. Yeah. I'll give you one at least. Tell me if you agree. Cale Makar.
Oh, Calder and the Norris in 1 year, huh?
Calder and the Norris.
I wonder if that's ever happened before.
I don't think he'll win it because, again, Karlsson. But he's a lock for a nomination if he continues and if he doesn't get injured or anything like that.
That kid, I tell you what, he makes it look so incredibly easy, and I hate guys like that because I'm not the best skater either, and I do play defense in some crappy beer league team, and I see guys like that that's just so effortlessly. I freaking hate you. Like, how do you do it? How do you do that?
Oh my god,
he's incredible.
Yeah, if you revisit that draft, by the way, that was the 2017 draft. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th picks, at this point, they kind of look better than 1 and 2. Because 1 and 2 was Patrick and Hischer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to 3 and 4. We got Heiskanen, we got Pedersen, and we got Makar. That was a crazy draft when you come to think of it. I do feel bad for that Patrick kid because I do think he's really skilled. Just with the injuries, he's oh man. I was reading up about his injuries this year. He's been having headaches over and over again, which is never good news.
Oh,
Never good news. That's
especially
why.
when you're like 21.
Oh yeah, man. And do you remember when he entered this league? He had like this pimple on his face that kept him out of the line.
I don't remember his pimple. No,
I'm not making this up. He had like a face boil, and it got infected.
oh jeez, I don't remember this at all.
Yeah. Oh man. Hey, he's just the worst of luck when it comes to injuries. Whether
Poor
it be his knees, his head, pimples on his face. He's oh man. He's had the
I saw what's his face from Buffalo, Darlene, up close last year. I went to a Sabres game.
Oh, no.
And he was like 20, and
Full of
dude, his
pimples.
face was just totally broken out. I'm like, God, this kid's like 20. He's still got zits all over his face, but he's making
you saw him in person?
yeah. I went to a Red Wings Sabres game, and he was
Nice.
it was.
Nice.
But he's like 14, and he looks like he's like 14
Yeah.
up close, face all broken out. But he's like one of the best hockey players out there. And
Yeah, he's got
making-
that white clammy skin. Oh
Yeah.
man. But I've been watching him. I think it's starting to clear out a little bit, putting that benzoyl peroxide or whatever it is. But I remember watching that draft with my dad, and for some reason my dad doesn't like Darlene. He comes to me and says, Matt, this Darlene, I'm not sold on him. I don't think he's going to be good. And he's like never seen him play once. And I tell him, Dad, you've never seen him play. And it's just a feeling I get. And then we're watching the draft, and he gets picked, and the camera zooms in on him, and he turns to me, he's like, good Lord, he has wicked skin. Yeah. That was the draft we paid close attention to because the Canadians were drafting third. I don't know if you follow the prospects and whatever that much, but what do you think of
Not really.
Kotkaniemi going third?
I don't really.
You don't know?
I don't follow. No, I don't really follow it that much because it's to me there's some drafts that are just a slam dunk. The McDavid or Matthews or like, but then so much of it is like just a crapshoot. Who knows what these guys are going to be like? You're watching a kid when he's 16, and you're trying to make a determination what he's going to be when he's 25. Like, a million things could happen between now and then. So I just kind of let the process play itself out. I'll watch them develop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but seriously.
And I
though,
hate those.
what is
I hate
it?
those guys on Twitter. They're too all the time where a guy goes like number 5 or 6 or something, and what a steal. Oh, I can't believe this guy dropped to 5. The Flyers got him at 5 for such a steal. I'm like, how the heck do you know that? Quit trying to be some Twitter hero out there.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I had to vent that out real quick.
Yeah, and they probably watched like 0.5 games that they played, and they just looked at the highlights, and they're like, "Oh, they must be doing this every shift of every game." Nah, I get you on that. I get you.
A couple years ago, when the Kings got Gabe Velarde at like number 11, and I had all these people tweet me, "Oh, what a steal! What a steal at 11!" And the kid has not even played like a game for the Kings yet. So
how come though? Is it I hear his skating isn't the best. Is it?
No, he had some major injury problems too that he's finally kind of getting over. It looks like he's on the upward track, but my point is just you don't know what these kids are going to turn into.
Yeah, no, it's all incumbent on their development, and even with Kotkaniemi, again, far from being settled his future in the NHL. We don't know if he's a steal yet. We don't know if he's a bust yet, but drafting them, it's one thing. I think that the majority of what goes into it, it's the development. It's choosing, okay, are they going to go sent back to junior? Are they going to play on the NHL? Is it going to be on the 4th line? Is it going to be the 1st line? Or is it going to be in the AHL? It's even down to the players they're playing with. It's so incumbent on, I like that word, incumbent. It's incumbent on their development. Trevor Timmins got a lot of shit in Montreal. They say all the picks are bust, but it's got to do a lot with development. Galchenyuk, now he's with the Penguins, and I don't think he's doing that great this year.
No, he's not.
That kid's got talent. I'm telling you, Malkin level talent, but just his development. And again, let's not all blame it on the coaches. It's still the player, his work ethic. It hasn't been there. It hasn't been there. I'm surprised that they only got Galchenyuk for Phil Kessel. He's a legend, Phil Kessel. I love him.
No kidding. They did a nice tribute for him. They did a nice tribute for him in Pittsburgh.
Oh, hold on, you're cutting out. Repeat that again.
They did a nice tribute for him in Pittsburgh. Phil Kessel.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. All right, we've been going on for a little bit over an hour here. I think it's been good. A little bit of tech difficulties here and there. Hey, you're gonna expect that. How did you like the show?
It's fun. Live streams are the way to go, man. I wish I had more time to do them because it is my favorite part of YouTube hockey.
Yeah, for sure. You come back again?
Yeah, whenever you want. Well, not whenever you want. Let me know, and I'll
Okay.
I'll see if I can fit it
for
in.
sure. Now, no, look, you absolutely saved my life there. Well, I think I was gonna go on my own. It's just a lot harder. Jake was with his family. He was having fun. I didn't have a problem with that. But I do want to thank you guys, whether it be JB. Hey, JB, buddy. Again, I'm sorry for that. I really was excited to hear what you have to say about Hall. But again, technical difficulties. Can't really control that. Joe, Jake, how are you, buddy? Whoever it may be, Dave Arthur, whoever's listening out there, thank you for joining us. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for trying to call in. I think it was a pretty good show. From now on, the shows, they're going to be on Fridays. They're going to be at 9 p.m. I think you guys can put that in your agenda. And it's going to be fun. We're going to be talking about hockey. We're going to be taking your comments. It's a show like none other. Make sure to subscribe to Puckbag. I'm not trying to stroke you here, but there's not many channels, hockey channels on YouTube I can watch because I just get bored. I get bored. They put me to sleep. But you're one of them that I watch, and I can see your opinion, even if I disagree. It's well explained. So if you guys haven't subscribed to Puckbag, please do. Please do. You won't regret it. And make sure to subscribe to this channel, too. Almost at 1,000. Never thought I'd get there, but almost at 1,000. And like this video. And as usual, my name is Matt. Keep your stick on